So my name is Ryan Leslie. Some of you may be familiar with me already as a musician. I am a multi-platinum music producer, worked with some of the biggest names in music. My first record that I ever put out was actually for Beyonce. It was on a music soundtrack called the Bad Boys 2 soundtrack. And they say that it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. So in that regard, it only took me 8 to become an overnight success. So I feel like I was ahead of the curve. I also was ahead of the curve in terms of my educational pathway. My father was very adamant that education was the pathway to the achievement of the American dream. And so by the time I was 14 years old, I was already applying to college. Now that wasn't because I was just accelerated. It was because as a youngster growing up, my parents being Salvation Army officers, I moved every 2 years. So I only went to high school for 3 years, and in those 3 years, I actually attended 4 different high schools in those 3 years. And then when I was going to my senior year, I would have moved to a 5th high school, and my father basically sat down and applied to college with me. I got into Harvard. I applied to 7 schools, but I got into Harvard. And by the time I was 19, I was a senior there. And I knew that even though I was getting a Harvard diploma, I wanted to do music. And my father was confused. He was like, well, why did we send you to 4 years and $120,000 education so that you could just sit in a basement all day long? The beauty, I think, is when you find your passion, the best is demanded of you, not by the expectations of others, but by what's in here. And hopefully, you being in this room tonight have discovered that your passion has something to do with creativity, has something to do with innovation, because that's why we're here. So we're going to talk this evening just a little bit about my journey, and we're going to talk about the future. We're talking about 5 F's here. The 5 F's that are in this presentation: faith, focus, follow up, follow through, finish. But I think we're missing one, obviously, and that's fashion, right? So faith, focus, follow up, follow through, finish. How many of you in this room today are using text for your personal communication? Using text for your personal communication. How many of you are using text for your communication with your customers? Using text for your communication with your customers. How many of you are using a platform for that, and how many of you are just using your personal cell phone for that? Okay, platform? Platform? What platform are you using for text? Constant Contact, that's email. Oh, yeah. So the platform, what platform are you using? Instagram, so direct messaging, okay. Platform? You're using SuperPhone, okay, great. So, that's a great, I love SuperPhone, right? So in 2013, by the time 2013 came around, I had amassed more than a 1 million follower fan base. 550,000 people on Twitter, 450,000 people on Facebook, 300,000 on Instagram, 280,000 subscribers on YouTube, 73 million views. And I felt as though even as social was more and more accessible to everyone, the actual connection was fragmented, it was broken, and it wasn't giving me the kind of results I was looking for. I wanted to have a one-on-one communication, a one-on-one direct relationship with the people that were supporting me. So what did I decide to do? I decided to put my cell phone number on Twitter, my personal cell on Twitter. So you can imagine what happened to my phone. 550,000 people on Twitter, put my cell phone number out, 35,000 people texted me. I needed a platform, but I did have the faith that I would be able to, using that platform, I had the faith that using that platform, I would be able to have a closer, more real connection with my customers and a closer, more real connection with the people that mattered most to me in my business. I had the faith that I could transform that relationship by using the most important human activity that we engage in on a day-to-day basis, which is texting. And I would invite you to argue with me about it, but I would say that more important than the food that we eat, more important than us sleeping, more important than the steps that we take, it's the conversations that we're having every day. People that we love, people that we maybe don't love, but people that we love us, people that want to support us, people that want to invest in us, people that we work with, we are having those conversations over that intimate and powerful protocol, and that's instant messaging. For me, it was text. In order for me to actually respond to all of those people, I learned that my fingers would get very tired if I had to respond to everyone. Hey, new phone, who this, right? So I needed to figure out a way using technology that I could actually scale my intent. I didn't have any coding experience. I went online, I taught myself how to code, and I built a very simple automation chain. Everyone that texted me from Twitter actually ended up getting a response. That response was very simple. Hey, I don't recognize this number, but I would like to stay in touch with you. Please add yourself to my phone contacts. As it stands today, I'm personally on text with more than 92,000 people. 60,000 of them have added their information to my contacts. The beauty of having that one-to-one communication is that you can take all of the noise of social media out of that conversation, and you can make sure that the conversation is focused. It's a focused conversation, right? It's a focused conversation. Someone sends me a text. Now they're not scrolling on Instagram. They're actually directly locked in, and I have their attention, and I'm able to respond to them and scale my intent thanks to technology. So in the case of me in 2013, I gave my number out. Everyone added themselves to my phone. What is it that I wanted everyone to do? Well, I happen to have a new album at that time. So for you, it might be a new design. It might be a new collaboration. It might be a trunk show. It might be a pop-up show. It might be a new retail location. No matter what it is, you can now, through text, focus your conversation, take out all the noise of social media, and make the ask. The ask is no longer a blanket ask to all of your social followers. It's a one-to-one ask. What's your name, brother? What's your name? Brian. So instead of, hey, Fashinnovation, would you like to buy my album? It's, Brian, do you want to support my album? Would you like to buy it? And immediately you see that the odds change from a 1 in 100 to 50-50. He's either going to sell me a reason why he's not going to buy my album, or I'm going to sell him a reason why he should buy the album. Those were the exact results that I experienced. 35,000 people texted me. 30,000 people said yes, added their information to my phone. 1 out of every 2, actually more than 1 out of every 2, 17,000 people, when I asked them very nicely, hey, I noticed maybe you didn't hear about the new album. Would you like to support it? They actually bought it. Faith that this could work. Focus, meaning that I could actually remove all the noise of social media and focus people on exactly how we could exchange value. They could give me $12. I could give them some music they could jam to, maybe cry to, maybe break up to, maybe make love to. The bottom line is there was an exchange of value, and now it was focused, no longer a broadcast, but a one-on-one conversation with a 50% conversion rate, all right? Follow up. How'd you like the album? The beauty of the follow-up was everyone that bought the album, I have their information in my phone. So when I'm going on tour, I can press a button and say, what's your name, brother? Right there with the jacket. McGregor? Nice to meet you, McGregor. So if McGregor had actually bought my album, I can follow up and say, hey, McGregor, how have you been enjoying the album? Look, I see you live in New York City. I'm playing the Bowery Ballroom next Friday. What are you up to? That's the power of having that kind of focus. That's the power of having that kind of focus. I now, for the first time in my career as an artist, instead of just having a bunch of anonymous followers on social media, I now have direct contact information. And I don't just have contact information, I have context. I can differentiate between the people in my phone who bought the album and people who just texted me to see if it was a novelty, right? And the follow-up was even more powerful. Every single person that decided to come to my concert, they didn't come to the concert by themselves. By nature, concerts are social. By nature, concerts are more expensive than the album. Whereas my album digitally, actually music nowadays is almost free. You could just download it or you could just stream it for free. People who actually took the effort to spend $12 on a digital album, I knew that they were interested in support and exchanging value. When I invited them to the concert, not only did they pay 4 times what they paid for the album to come to the concert, they also brought someone with them. So when you're thinking about offline activations tied to your online activations, understand that there is a social and viral coefficient by nature of the fact that when you bring people together, most people like to bring 1 or 2 or 3 people with them. So even though I sold 17,000 albums, we sold 40,000 concert tickets because every single person who came to the concert, they brought a friend or 2. That's the power of the follow-up. Now, the next F is following through. Following through. So what I did and what I made sure to let people know was, hey, look, if you're going to be involved in this text community, I'll make sure that you hear about special exclusive events, special exclusive offers before anyone else. I will let you know that these events are happening before I even post them on social media. That's the kind of follow-through that allowed me to continue to upsell. And this wasn't just an upsell for the sake of monetizing, but it was an upsell in terms of actually exploring the kinds of experiences, the kinds of exchanges I could have. So we went from a digital album to a concert experience, and then on New Year's Eve, I decided, hey, I'd like to just get a castle somewhere in Vienna, Austria, and I'd like to have 200 of my closest fans come and bring in the New Year's with me. That was the follow-through. Someone who literally bought a digital album. Maybe they were just a fan or a follower on Twitter. Now they're in my phone. They have my direct cell phone number. They bought the album. They came to the concert. Everyone that came to the concert got a VIP ticket. I now had that kind of differentiation in my phone. This is the future. It's going to happen whether you're doing it today manually or you're already using a platform like SuperPhone. This is the future. It's already going to happen. If you haven't adopted this kind of strategy for utilizing the most intimate real estate in your consumers' phones, you're behind the 8 ball. You're already late to the party. Have faith that you actually can develop that kind of powerful relationship. Have the focus to understand that being inside of that channel means that you have a captive audience. You're closing down the noise of social media. You're getting your message across captive. Brian, right? 1-to-1, 50% conversion. Somebody's getting sold. I'm selling him a reason to buy. I'm selling him a reason to come to my trunk show. I'm selling him a reason to come and work for me. I'm selling him a reason to invest, or he is selling me the reason why he's not convinced. And the beauty of his response is that that in itself is valuable data because it informs my business strategy moving forward. Well, I'm not going to buy your record because I don't buy digital products. Okay, well now I'm going to tell him, hey, I got an autographed copy for you. I wouldn't have known that unless we had that exchange. That exchange lives in a conversation. That conversation is valuable data. That data can be used to feed a machine learning engine, and you can start to innovate and accelerate and be more efficient. You could try this now if you'd like to try it. This URL is the way that 90,000 people have gotten into my phone. Just go to textryan.com, go to your browser, textryan.com. You'll see a little page that says, it's Ryan Leslie. Please leave your number and I'll text you right back. And without reaching from my phone, every single person that leaves their number will get a text right back. It will say, hey, it's Ryan. What's your name, email, Instagram, and city? You guys will all be tagged that I met you at Fashinnovation. And however you'd like to continue the conversation, it's really, once again, the 5 F's restart. It's the faith that we can exchange value. it's the focus on what kind of value you'd like to exchange. Maybe you need an introduction, maybe you need an investor, maybe you need marketing strategy, whatever it is. Be focused on what the value exchange is. Follow up. Oh, well, you know, Ryan, I texted you a couple of times. Maybe I was traveling. Follow up. Follow through. If I say, hey, let's have a meeting, let's have a talk, make sure you actually hold someone to task to follow through. And then whatever your idea is, whatever the concept is, whatever the goal is that you're looking to achieve, make sure you get to the end point of that goal, because what we know for sure is that even when you achieve the end point, it's really just another stop on the destination to your own greatness. My name is Ryan Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. Fashinnovation, year 2, thank you so much.